Good morning and welcome to the Splash Live. I'm Erica Jones. The Splash Live is every Monday to Friday at 9:30 a.m. It's Greater West Bloomfield's very own daily TV, radio, and streaming show. Watch live on CivicCenterTV.com. Channel 15, AT&T Channel 99, on the web at CivicCenterTV.com, on Civic Center TV's Facebook app, and listen live 89.3 Lakes FM. The Splash Live is part of Civic Center TV and Lakes FM's 150 minutes of live local programming. Our focus is local, so that means Greater West Bloomfield, the Splash Live at 9:30 a.m. right now, Oakland County, the Oakland County Megacast at 10 a.m., and Michigan Megacast at 11 a.m. So let's talk about the weather. It was a little chilly when I was coming into work this morning. It was in the mid-60s, but it's just now heating up around 70. It's going to warm up later in the day for a high of 80, and that will be nice. It's going to stay pretty consistent in the 80s for the rest of the week, so warm, but not too hot like last week when it was peaking in the 90s. That was just real hot. So like I said, it's going to stay that way all of this week. Get outside now because next week temperatures are back in the 90s and there's a chance of thunderstorms. So this week, sunny and dry. Get outside and enjoy this last bit of July. Speaking of July, it is baseball season, and our Detroit Tigers are fresh off of a huge 12-4 victory last night against the San Diego Padres. Tigers starting pitcher Tarek Skubal will be at Dunham Sports of West Bloomfield on Orchard Lake Road this afternoon for a free autograph signing. He's going to be there from noon to 1 p.m., so stop by to meet him and get a complimentary Detroit Tigers photo card signed. This is great if you love baseball as much as I do, or even if you don't. It's always great to get to go meet one of our local guys. So go support the Tigers, go meet Tarek Skubal. Now, in other West Bloomfield news, the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show is this weekend. Great event that we have every single year. And if thinking about the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show has your creative juices flowing, then maybe consider stopping by one of Greater West Bloomfield's outdoor exhibits. Now, thanks in part to the DIA, the West Bloomfield Public Library has set up some exciting new art activities for the community, and you can take part as well. Splash reporter Kevin Brown has the story.
This summer, the museum comes to a local library, playground, or park near you. The DIA's Inside Out program is in full swing in West Bloomfield, and I talked with Steve Ketchum from the West Bloomfield Public Library about how they're implementing Inside Out into their summer events.
So the DIA Inside Out program is something DIA does where they place replicas of different works of art from the DIA out into different communities. It's been going on since the beginning of summer. Here at our library, we have the Blue Madonna by Bob Thompson, and it is right outside the front door. So if you're coming into the main library and through the front door, you will see it right there to the right. And it is a large piece. You can't miss it. And then the other pieces, like we have one at our West Acres branch, there's pieces at different parks. So really it's just being at these popular destinations in West Bloomfield, you're going to run into these amazing works of art and be able to look at them. There's also with each of these, like at a museum, there's an informational plaque next to it where you can read more about the art and the artist. We've tried to tie in our summer reading program with DIA Inside Out in a number of ways. So we have different activities you can do as part of summer reading to earn points, to then earn rewards. And so we've taken each one of these pieces in the community, and we've done sort of what we're calling a scavenger hunt, where we will ask you questions. I think there's 4 or 5 questions that we ask you about each one. You go to our summer reading software, you type in the answer to those questions we've asked you, or fulfill the different requirements for the activities, and that's one of the ways you can earn points for summer reading. This Saturday at 2:30, we're doing what I'm calling Saturday Crafternoons, and then also to tie in with that, we're doing this tiny art kit and exhibition, which started today, actually. If you have a West Bloomfield Library card, you can sign up to get up to 5 of these kits. In the kit, you get a tiny canvas, you get your pots of paint, you get some paint brushes, and then between now and August 17th, you can be inspired by the DIA Inside Out artwork, paint your own masterpiece, return it to us, and then we're going to have an exhibition here in the library from August 22nd to September the 16th here at the main library. And here is an example. This is my masterpiece that I painted the other day. So that's the kind of stuff. And I tied up mine in, this year's summer reading theme is Oceans of Possibility. So I tied mine in more with the summer reading theme, but you know, the DIA Inside Out also inspired me as well. If you go to our event calendar on our website, you know, westbloomfieldlibrary.org, you know, if you're interested in getting involved with the tiny art exhibition, and you have to have a West Bloomfield Library card, but you can then sign up for up to 5 kits per card. And I hope everyone out there will get involved with that.
Thanks, Steve. Reporting for the Splash Live, I'm Calvin Brown.
Thanks, Calvin. That was great. I always love hearing about summer reading. I grew up in West Bloomfield, and it was something to look forward to every summer. They always get nice and creative with it, and I love how they're incorporating art this year. And on the topic of art, as I said, the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show is this weekend, and we are going to be joined by photographer Ron Malott when we come back from this break.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
Now that the vaccine is available for children 5 and up, why do you recommend it?
Kids are part of the community and they can spread COVID.
We're seeing both healthy children getting sick from the virus as well as children with underlying health conditions.
They can easily bring the virus home to other people that are vulnerable and make them sick as well.
This vaccine can change that and keep children safe.
It's essential that your children get vaccinated to protect them, to protect your families, and to protect those in the community around you.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm Erica Jones, and joining me now is photographer Ron Malott, who is going to be featured at the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show this weekend. Now, Ron is actually based in Bloomington, Indiana, but of course, making it local because he is at the Fine Arts Show this weekend. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
Good morning, Erica. I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Glad to have you with us this morning. So, you have a background in biology. How did that get you to photography?
Well, actually, I started first in photography. I started in the 4th grade. Got my first camera. Didn't even know I wanted a camera. Didn't know what photography was. But for some reason, which I will never be able to understand fully, it touched a chord in me, and it became a way of my expressing things that I saw. And so that was in place long before I became a biologist. And then a biologist kind of played wonderfully into being a nature-type photographer.
Right. So you specifically photograph nature. And what is it about nature that excites you and makes you want to turn it into artwork?
I love the way that ecology in nature blends together, all different kinds of animals and plants in different environments. And the beauty is that a lot of nature, you can see it from a grand scale, from a distance, but you can also look very, very close up and see beauty in very close up items that most people won't see. It's there. So the challenge is always how my ability to see things and to capture them technically with my cameras.
Yeah, so I see that you do a lot of landscape photography, but then you also do this close-up stuff that you were just talking about. Tell me a little bit about the different cameras you may use when you're photographing a landscape or something close up.
Sure. When I shoot landscapes, I shoot medium and large format film. I'm still sort of an old school photographer. And I shoot a large format Linhof Technica 4x5 view camera, kind of like what Ansel Adams and others used to shoot. Put a cloth over your head, a sheet film holder with 2 pieces of film in it. But the film is 4 inches by 5 inches, so it creates a big, big image. And then I also shoot a medium format that has that capability of view cameras to shoot. And then the macro work, I used to shoot 35 millimeter. I've been switching that to digital because it allows you to do what's called image stacking. And image stacking, most lenses, when you shoot, the lens is sharpest at about f8, f11. But when you shoot film, you're stuck with f-stop and shutter speed, and you have to shoot really stop down. So you lose a lot of that sharpness. With digital photography and what they call image stacking, I can shoot multiple images, sometimes 20, 30, 40 images in a stack to get everything sharp from front to back. So when you look at it, there's no softness. You get depth to the image that isn't readily available to see unless you're looking at it with your eye. And people like that. It looks real to them.
Do you have a favorite type of camera to shoot on?
Probably the Linhof 4x5, because when I got hooked on 4x5s, it just gives me so much control over what I want to shoot and how I want it to render. And it slows me down too. It makes me think, I think people tend to think the camera is the ultimate. No, the camera's a tool. It's how I use it. So when I see a scene, it makes me slow down and go, do I really see something here I want to photograph before I go to all the effort to break the camera out? Or is it just pretty to look at? And if I see that it's really, really a good image, then yeah, I can capture it exactly how I want to.
Yeah, and talking a little bit about your style, tell me your philosophy when it comes to photography and artwork.
Well, my philosophy is kind of, because it's about vision, it's about how I see. I try not to copy anything that anybody else does. I try not to go to places other people go. I usually get a topographic atlas and I go explore back roads and explore creeks that show waterfalls on them. And I just spend my time trying to see what I can see in the environment. And I try to predict, like this one you got up on the screen of the Antelope Valley Poppy Preserve in California. Sometimes you get lucky. That storm, for example, that's a historical snowfall event. First time in 87 years they'd seen snow in that part of the Mojave Desert. And sometimes you just get lucky. You can think it all out, you can plan it all out, but sometimes you just get lucky. But then most of the time I'm thinking it out and saying, okay, pretty to look at, not a good scene, or yeah, I really like this, but I need to come back at a different time. I'm not here at the right time. I need clouds. I need, what kind of clouds do I need? Do I need other elements in the picture, and then come back when those happen?
And your imagery has been published all around the world. Is there a publication that you're most proud of that your artwork has been featured in?
I think probably initially I was published some in Audubon and Sierra Club. And I really, as a biologist and as a outdoor photographer, I really kind of like that. And then sometimes in calendars where people have a whole month to look at my image, or if I have multiple images in the calendar, I get a few months of their visual pleasure. So that's good.
So this weekend, you're going to be local with us at the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show. What can people expect to see from you this weekend at the show?
Well, they'll be able to see a variety of images like you're showing in the background. You'll see macro close-up photography. You'll see more of the intimate landscape where it's a portion of the landscape. You'll see I have large frame pieces, I have canvas pieces, I have matted artwork. But you'll get to see the breadth, a good sampling of the breadth of what I like to look at, what I see when I go on a photo shoot, and what I'm able to capture when I'm there. Like those bluebonnets, that's in the hill country. That's a spring shot. They don't come up every year, but when they do, they're beautiful. Mm-hmm. And this is patterns in a hand-blown glass vase. It's very, very close up.
And I know you travel and do art shows all the time, but what are you most looking forward to specifically this weekend at the Orchard Lake Fine Arts Show?
I like the interaction with people when they come in. To me, the definition of art is how somebody responds to something that somebody else created. So when people walk in, they don't know who I am, they've never met me, they see a piece hanging on the wall, and they go, wow, look at that. And they just stop and they stand there and stare at it. And you can see by the expression on their face, it means something to them. It touches them in a way that I can't predict or script. Often that they can't even understand why they stopped, why it's resonating so with them. But it's beautiful. And then when they turn around and go like, I really like this. Can I take it home? And I'm like, sure.
And talking about those interactions that you're able to have with your customers, and I'm sure that you have so many of them all the time with traveling, is there an interaction that comes to mind that really inspired you at an art show or anywhere it may have been with a customer?
Actually, there was one, there's been a few, but one of the ones that really touched me the most, there was about a 12-year-old girl that came into a show. I was in Mystic, Connecticut. And I have this shot of an abbey in Galloway, Scotland. It's an 860-year-old abbey. And there's a woman statuary at the left front of it. And I call it the shepherdess because I feel her role is to take care of the flock of souls out there in the graveyard. And this 12-year-old girl came up. She just fell in love with it. And she spent her own money, not her parents' money. She spent her own money that she had earned to buy it. And it was the first time I'd had the piece out. So things like that are just exceptionally touching to me because it moved her in a way that most things don't, and probably very few things in life will. And that was just beautiful to see her spend her money on a piece. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the topic of touching things in your career, is there a certain photo shoot you've been on that touched you the most?
No, I get asked that a lot, but because some of them are really challenging because they're not particularly fun sometimes. I went to Scotland for 29 days and only had 6.5 days I could photograph because the weather was so bad. But what I was able to see, even on rainy, nasty days, was beautiful landscapes, the abbeys, the castles, a lot of beauty. I love the Desert Southwest, Monument Valley, Garden of the Gods, Grand Canyon. And I love the UP of Michigan. Not because you guys are in Michigan, but it's one of my favorite places to photograph because it's so diverse. There's so much beauty there. It's all in my ability to see it. It's there. I just have to find it.
Yeah. Well, Ron, thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see you at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show this weekend. But for those that won't be able to make it to the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show, where can we find you?
I have a website. It's NATGAL, for the first three letters of Nature and Gallery, which is my business, the Nature Gallery. So it's NATGAL at Zenfolio, ZENFOLIO.com. And it has galleries for all different kinds of work, shows you how I can do virtual fittings to put it in your house. So you'll see actually a lot more there than I could ever show in the booth. But
well, that is great. We look forward to seeing you this weekend, and great talking with you this morning. Photographer Ron Malott, who will be at the Orchard Lake Fine Art Show this weekend. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I'm going to sit down with Gail Taub, a fitness trainer in West Bloomfield.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
Let's savor these moments, made possible by the COVID-19 vaccine. Keep the dining out going by keeping yourself protected and your COVID-19 vaccines up to date.
You know, it's peaceful, it's quiet, and the noise and stress of life can sometimes disappear.
It's the Great Lakes water, and so what people do ends up in our waterways.
It's for our health and safety, it's for our economy, it's for protecting the environment that we all enjoy and we all need to survive.
So clearing storm drains and the areas nearby of trash and leaves helps keep them for rain only.
We're all about one water in this region. We're all connected. We all have a role.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm Erica Jones, and we are now joined by Gail Taub, fitness trainer and nutrition coach in West Bloomfield. Now, Gail has been a regular guest on The Splash, but this is my first time getting to sit down and chat with her. So we're going to switch gears a little bit today and talk about credentials a little bit when it comes to fitness trainers. But before we get into that, Gail, how are you? It's so nice to talk to you.
Nice to meet you, Erica. Nice to be here this morning as usual.
Yes, we are so glad to have you. So first off, why are certifications so important when it comes to a nutritionist or fitness trainer?
Yeah, so I think there's three things that come to mind. There's many reasons, but I'll just pick three to talk about real quick. First of all, in this industry, there is no police. And so anybody really can say that they can train or they can coach another person based on their own belief of what their experiences have been or what they've done in their world. But really, because of that, there are some people that say that they're trainers and they really are not legitimate trainers. So no police, just recognize that you should ask some questions about how they learned and where they learned what they know. The second reason is it really does say a lot about a person, the actual trainer or coach, when they are investing their time and energy to learn, that lifelong learning, that they don't believe that they know everything about everyone and how to help everyone. And even in a particular area of fitness or wellness, that they don't always know. So going back to school, having new certifications gives that trainer a little bit more value for you, knowing that they've invested in themselves so that they can invest in you. The third reason is your goals, what it is that you're trying to accomplish. If you go to a trainer or a coach who specializes in helping someone to, let's say, build muscle, but that's not where you're at. That's so far down the road. You're looking for confidence. You're looking for safety. You're looking for something else. You need to make sure that the qualifications of that person are aligned with what you need and want for yourself.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting how you put that. You know, there is no police in the industry. You know, when you go to a doctor, you know that that person's certified, they've gone to school. But when you're looking for a personal trainer, it's not the same. So I think it's really, really important that we're having this discussion. And on that same note, what are some things that you or anyone else who is a certified personal trainer or nutrition coach would know that an average person like myself might not necessarily know?
Yeah. So the first couple things that come to mind. Number one, depending on the person that is working, your client, there is more than one way to do something properly. And there's a whole bunch more ways to do something in a scary, non-safe way. So the idea that there's only one way to do a squat properly is not accurate at all. A good trainer, someone who understands the human body, anatomy, and the person that's standing in front of them, can meet that person where they're at and adjust their form in many different ways based on what their feedback is to you. And most of the time, somebody who's not working with a qualified trainer that has good experience, excuse me, might believe that they can't do a squat because it hurts, period. And that's not always the case. Another topic to think about is this idea that there is a difference between something that hurts and is unsafe or feels bad versus something that is difficult and challenging versus when you are tired and you have every right to be struggling. A good trainer, someone who's qualified, can actually notice and witness those things regardless of what the other person is saying and can stop and adjust as appropriate. The other thing about that is the flip side, having the client be able to feel comfortable immediately stopping if they are uncomfortable or feel pain, different than being tired or something being challenging. And that interaction is so important so that the person begins to gain confidence and differentiate between something that's hard, I need to stop, or hurts and I need to stop. I know my people like the back of my hand, and I get to know them over time. And so we have that really good relationship where they both feel comfortable talking to me and stopping, not worried about what I think, and I can do the same for them.
That relationship is so important, but let's say I'm not with you or my personal trainer at a given time. I'm home or at the gym on my own. How can I tell if something I'm doing is just challenging and difficult, or if it's too much for my body and I should probably stop?
I would start with the conversation prior to the workout. How is the interaction with that trainer? How is that coach? Are they listening to you? Are they actually asking you? And are you doing more of the talking than they are? Right? There's an explanation then that would take place before you start, and a trainer that says, listen, if you need to stop, you should stop. So the conversation and the dynamic between you and your trainer should feel very complete and comfortable and two-sided. That's very important. Some of the other questions are, do you feel comfortable stopping and saying, this doesn't feel good? This isn't right. Or how can I do this differently? Is that comfortable or not comfortable? How does that trainer respond to you? And the other thing that you can think about is, what kind of work are you actually doing? Does it fit the conversation and the goal conversation that you had? Is it appropriate for where you're at? Did they do testing in your first session to learn how you move, to see, to experience it, and to talk to you so that they can then create a program that works for you? So the biggest thing is that relationship and being able to go back and forth. And when you feel like you need to ask a question or stop or say, this isn't really what I'm looking for, how comfortable are you to do that? It should be very, very comfortable.
So just another minute with you, real quick here on the topic of credentials. Most importantly, before you can assess anything else we've talked about, where can I find a reputable professional?
Yeah, that's a tricky one. So, the idea of just going into a gym or, following your friend's advice, that's one way to do it, but not always the best way. Why don't you do your own homework first? There's a few sites that I would recommend, or a few ideas to recommend. Number one, there's a site out there called healme.com. HEAL.me.com. That is a wellness practitioner site. You can search for whatever type of wellness practitioner you're looking for in your area. And I know I'm on that site, and I can tell you they do check credentials. The second thing is check the credential hubs for training. So there's 3. ISSA is one of them, International Sports Sciences Association, NASM. I know I'm saying a lot of words right now, but that's National Academy of Sports Medicine. And then there's also ACE. That's a good place to start to know that they're qualified. Whether they're the right person for you and they're a good trainer, that's another story.
Well, Gail, thank you so much for all of this information. I'm so glad that we got to have this discussion. I know I definitely learned a lot, and I have been thinking about getting a personal trainer, so I'll definitely be in touch with you soon. But again, thank you so much for continuing to come on our show. We really appreciate it, and it was great getting to meet you myself.
You too, Erica. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you so much. So again, that was Gail Taub, and she is a fitness trainer and certified nutritionist. So thank you so much for joining us this morning on the Splash Live. We are here Monday to Friday, every weekday at 9:30. This is Greater West Bloomfield's very own daily TV, radio, and streaming show. You can watch live on CivicCenterTV.com, channel 15 AT&T, 99 on the web at CivicCenterTV.com, and make sure to check out the Oakland County Megacast at 10 a.m. right after this, and the Michigan Megacast at 11 a.m., both with Tyler Keefe. Again, I'm Erica Jones, and thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow morning.